get him over to the AFC. You don't want to face Aaron twice a year in your division. You don't want to face him more regularly in your conference. So if you're going to trade, if Tom Brady's going to leave New England, okay, we don't want him to leave, but at least he goes to Tampa. If we meet him, it's in the Super Bowl, right? Or maybe later down the road. Well, it's the same in basketball. Portland's got a dilemma. They fired their GM. They got a new GM coming in. Damian wants $50 million a year. He's 31. He's still great. Now, he's not having a great shooting season. Dame's still fine. Dame's still fine. He's having a bad shooting season. There's a lot of things. We don't know if Chauncey Billups is the right coach for him. The organization's in a little bit of chaos right here. There's just better teams all around the NBA. Dame's fine. It's like Russell Wilson gets hurt. Russ is fine. Lamar Jackson will be fine. Dame's going to be fine. He can shoot a basketball. He didn't suddenly forget how to shoot a basketball. But there's a trade to be made here, and I'm getting all this stuff about Dame for Ben Simmons. Stop it. Think about what Dame gives you and why he's loved in Portland. Leadership, elite scorer, shot maker, sacrifices, great locker room guy, best friends with a guard, C.J. McCollum, who actually has his game. He can resent that. They're like best friends. All of that, none of it Ben Simmons has. Ben Simmons is the opposite of Dame. Afraid to shoot, bad teammate, moody. He couldn't get along with Embiid, and they played different positions. Dame literally gets along with a guy on his team that plays his exact style. I mean, like C.J. McCollum is Dame light. Is he offended by it? Is he threatened by it? They're like best friends. Everything Dame is, Ben Simmons isn't. But Chris Broussard brought this up on First Things First, the Simmons-Dame trade rumors.
Furthermore, Ben Simmons and Dame together are doing nothing in the Western Conference. Okay, they're not winning it. They're not getting to the finals, none of that. So, that being the case, I think it's time for the Trailblazers to consider trading Damian Lillard. See what you can get. Just put it out there. Dame is available. What's the best offer? Who really wants him? Don't rush into anything, but now you're open to a full rebuild under your new coach, Chauncey Billups. He needs different types of players anyway. That's what they should be doing in Portland.
And there's a perfect trade partner. One of the rivals of the Sixers, who have Ben Simmons, is the Celtics. They're in that Northeast corridor. Boston is falling into that desperate situation. They got Jason Tatum, and they need like another star. And here's Dame. Dame and Jason Tatum solves a lot of Boston's issues, but it also solves Portland's issues. They need to kind of rebuild. Phoenix and Golden State have significantly better rosters. I think Denver does. Utah probably too. Portland's got to get more good players. You go to the Celtics, and you play the Sixers and Celtics off each other with no real intention to give them to the Sixers because you don't want Ben Simmons. And you go to Boston, say, I want 3 first-round picks. I'll take Jaylen Brown, who's about 70 to 75% of Dame offensively, and a much better defensive player, and then give me Marcus Smart, who's a great defensive player. I don't need his offense, but I need his salary to make the trade work. And so Boston gets their second star, and you know they'll give up a little more because they don't want Dame to end up in Philadelphia, their corridor rival, their conference rival. So they don't want him to go to Philly, so Boston will probably give you an extra first-round pick. Brands in the NBA. And they're both kind of in trouble. I'm going to address the Lakers for the first 5 minutes, and then I'm going to address the Celtics after that in a different topic. So let's start with the Lakers. These are big brands. Historically, Celtics, Lakers, biggest two. This is the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, whatever, Cubs, Cardinals of baseball. It's the Notre Dame and Alabama, Ohio State of football. And the Lakers have a little bit of a problem. And Charles Barkley, as LeBron turns 37 in a couple of weeks, knows the problem. It's AD.
For the first month of the season, y'all blame everything on Russell Westbrook for the Lakers putting all them old-ass geezers together. And y'all blame Westbrook. Now I hear y'all gonna fire Frank Vogel. Cool. Listen, Anthony Davis, you got to play better. I said on this first night, if the Lakers were going to be any good, it was all going to be on you. You're 27 years old. You're supposed to be in your prime. You're supposed to be one of the 5 best players in the world, up there with Giannis, Kevin Durant, and those guys. And you ain't holding up your end of the bargain.
Thank you. In baseball, it's different. If you're a pitcher and you have great stuff, you're an ace. Regardless of your personality, you are an ace. You take the ball, you control the pace of the game, you control virtually everything. But it's different in basketball. Teammates, passing, play both ends of the floor. So many things that matter. In basketball, a general manager told me this years ago. It's not about getting a franchise player, it's about getting the right one. Talent alone doesn't make you a one. The Knicks thought Carmelo Anthony was, and he wasn't. He wasn't going to commit physically on the defensive end. He wasn't a grinder, and that's Anthony Davis. He's not physically dependable. He doesn't elevate others. He's just really talented. And right now in the NBA, we have three great players, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Anthony Davis, and they are ones in talent, but twos. You cannot depend on Kawhi. He doesn't elevate others. He's not physically available. Anthony Davis is not a grinder. Your best player, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Magic Johnson have to be your hardest workers, your most focused basketball players. They have to be willful and driven and elevate others. Anthony Davis is just talented. Harden's just talented. Kawhi's just talented. You got to have some dog and some alpha. You got to want to be the first into the weight room and the last out. And this is the Lakers' issue because they thought they were getting a one. For years and years, we always blame the Pelicans. It's the Pelicans. We've been here 3 years. Last year, he showed up out of shape. LeBron was ticked off. Frank Vogel, go ahead and blame Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel has a history of elevating bigs. Anthony Davis should be a top 3 big. He wants to shoot jumpers, and he's shooting like 19% this year. Don't confuse it. Basketball's culture is interesting. It doesn't do a great job of developing leaders. Basketball's culture does a great job of developing basketball players. They find them early. There's a lot of people that develop them, care about them, work on them, and get them paid early. Basketball's culture does a great job to develop players. I would always argue football's culture does a better job of developing leaders. You're in college for multiple years, 4 and 5 years. You watch a culture at Alabama, at Georgia, at Oklahoma. Remember, Michael Jordan was not born a leader. But he had strong dad, Dean Smith, Phil Jackson, plus David Stern. His relationship with David Stern was very close. Then he had a great agent. So Michael had some innate alpha, but he saw what great leadership was because he went to college for multiple years and had a relationship with Phil for multiple years. Michael was a much better leader at the second part of his career than he was initially. He wasn't a great leader when he got to the NBA. Michael was a great player, but he was selfish and hard to get along with. And then he got Phil Jackson, who tapped into Michael's innate ability to lead. And it was magic, the best basketball player and team we've ever seen. But the Lakers have an issue. They thought they were getting a 1, and what they're getting is a 2. And now LeBron's 37 years old. So the Lakers have to find their next Kobe. Kobe's a 1. They got to find their next Magic. Magic's a 1. Shaq was a 1. Shaq was rough on. Shaq would get in arguments with Kobe. And that's why the Lakers were so unique. Shaq and Kobe were both 1s. I covered Scottie Pippen. Scotty's a 2. Kevin McHale's a 2. It's not just physicality. It's not just your talent. And so, Shaq, everybody wants to fire Vogel now. Vogel loves bigs. He's got a big. Giannis loves being a big. Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid, they love being bigs. They love using their body. Anthony Davis, they make fun of his dad bod. He don't want to work out. They want to put the time in the weight room. Here's Shaq last night.
AD has to dominate. Because Chuck said he's supposed to be one of the best players. I agree with the great Charles Barkley. He's not playing like that now, so he has to pick it up. Forget about what Russell Westbrook and Carmelo are doing. AD has to be the number 2 punch, and when LeBron isn't there, AD has to be the number 1 punch. If you're shooting that bad from the three-point line, that's telling me one thing. Get your ass in the post where you belong.
He doesn't want to. Kawhi, Harden, and AD. We always said this about Kawhi. He's the best get a basket and get a stop guy in the league. So you think he's a 1. And he was great when he joined the strong Spurs culture and the strong Raptors culture. Then he went to L.A. and they said, we're going to build around him. No. That's not what he does. No. When he joined two excellent cultures, he's unbelievable. Get a basket, get a stop. But you got to talk and be verbal. And you got to communicate. And you got to elevate others. And you got to be physically available. Kawhi and AD aren't. Should be ones, they're twos. Now go find your next one. All right, now let's talk Celtics. We all know this is the way it works. When you trade a great quarterback,